Commissioner Neely?
Here.
Commissioner Pauley? Here. Commissioner Roth?
Here.
Commissioner Smith?
Here.
Commissioner Yates?
No.
Commissioner Peterson?
Here.
Commissioner Mum?
Here.
Commissioner Edgar?
Here.
Chair Shaw?
Excused.
Next is citizen comments. Do we have any?
Yes.
He's gonna make sure.
Yes.
Yes, there's
Yes.
one
Okay.
in front of you.
Okay. And I guess Mr. Gifford.
Vice Chair and Commissioners of the Urban Renewal Commission, thank you very much for listening to me. My name is William Gifford. I live in Oregon City, and happy solstice to y'all. And I have two comments. One is, and perhaps these comments are more accurately directed towards the City Commission, but I'm not going to be able to be there tonight, and so I want to get these things, a couple of ideas that I had. One is, I wanted to thank the City and Metro for the opportunity to view the Blue Heron site from the river. I thought that was very informative and a great perspective on things. Coming back, and I was sitting with Chair Shaw during that meeting or during that tour, and the thought occurred to me that what we need, because his comment was, "This is so huge. This is a professional architect that really knows his stuff," and his comment was, "This is a huge project that we're going to have to do this in phases." Makes a lot of sense, of course. The question is, what's the first pickle out of the jar? So I was thinking, what would be handy is to have a model, a full-scale model of that entire site. And that way we could look at it from all different perspectives. And then I thought, maybe even better than that. If we could get a software, three-dimensional rendering, we could move a building and see what the site looks like without that building. We could pick something up and say, what's underneath that? And I would think, I really don't care how much that costs. Within reason, of course. No, I'm serious.
Well, you may not care.
When you consider the value of that project, if it was $10,000 or so, the idea of being able to have that flexible perspective, and I know some people are very visual in how they see projects, and I certainly am, and I think that that's just something that I would want you very much to consider. I mentioned the idea to Carlotta, Commissioner Collette, and she also thought it was a good idea, and I've mentioned it to a couple of you. So I just want to make sure that doesn't get lost anywhere. And perhaps that isn't fully in the Urban Renewal Commission's domain, because Urban Renewal Commission owns such a small part of that, but it certainly is in the City Commission. And I want to remember that with all the enthusiasm that there certainly is, and all the buzz that there is about Blue Heron and what a great opportunity it is, I want to make sure that we remember that is a years off to completion of that, possibly even to be commencing on that, and not lose sight of the fact that we still have another major opportunity at the other end of the bookend, that there is still a development that I don't want us to lose sight of our other potential on the other end of the street. So those are my comments. Thanks very much for your patience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I had a question. I don't know if this is a good time or not, but
Go ahead.
Normally, Urban Renewal meets the first Wednesday before the City Commission. So is Urban Renewal not going to meet because City Commission won't be meeting on the 5th of July? Is that correct?
I don't.
There are no agenda items scheduled at this point for July 5th
Okay. Okay. I just wanted to.
for Urban Renewal.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there any other citizen comments? Seeing none, I think that we're going to move to the city manager's report up front.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple things. I want to remind the Commission that on the 22nd, you have this, I think, on your dais about the Street Smart program, and this is essentially a great service. It's a good program. It's going to be held on June 22nd at 9 a.m. at Cypress in the Oasis Room. And they're going to be talking about low-cost, high-impact storefronts and how to reactivate your storefront. And we have some awnings and other kind of appurtenances to some of our buildings downtown that maybe aren't necessarily the best that they could be by today's standards. And so I think Michelle Reeves and others from Metro are going to be there, as well as Main Street, Oregon City. And I think it's a great opportunity for some of them to make improvements to their buildings and get some great ideas. So that I want to make sure I mentioned. And also, I want to introduce to you our new finance director, Wyatt Parno. Wyatt's right here.
Welcome.
We're really happy to have Wyatt here. He's had a very long day today, and he's going to have a longer one yet because there's still a city commission meeting coming. But we're really pleased to have him. He's getting orientation. New commissioners got that too. He's even going to get a similar book and lots of other things to look at. But Dave Wimmer and Wyatt are going to be working together on the transition, which is something that's pretty unusual. It's not unusual for people to work together, but you almost never have a couple of days or a week or so to overlap. And in my case, I've only one case that I've even got to meet the city manager of the city where I was coming. So this is a nice thing, and it's coming at a good time of year too, so that Wyatt can get off on the best foot possible. And so we're just really pleased to have him join our team. So
Great.
that's all I have in my report.
Okay, now what do we do? Oh, yes. Oh, we do have a future. Well, let's
I
move
think
to that.
Eric has a report. You have something?
Well, we can do my agenda item. It doesn't require a vote.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's right. You could do the general business, can't you?
Yeah, I can do that. It's not going to require a vote.
That doesn't require a vote. So why don't we go to general business 5, and we'll turn this over to Eric Underwood.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to bring forward the applications and talk a little bit about the application process for the adaptive reuse grant program. We've had our first round of review. Staff has approved one grant out of the 2 that were submitted. We learned a lot during the review process, and we've identified some areas for some tweaks and ways to tighten it up for the next round, which it was a very good discussion and a very thorough review this time. We had 2 applications. One was 712 Main Street. The request there was $60,000. The other was 708 Main Street, and I believe the applicants touched upon these projects at our last meeting. And that was a request for $25,000.
I was on my way. Kept me on the sidewalk.
Thank you, David.
Well, at the restaurant, and he was just walking out of his house.
I want to take David fishing with me.
Sorry, guys. Okay. So the 712 Main Street project was approved for the $60,000. We felt like that the project increased the tenable space, which is a requirement of the grant. It was very innovative in its design, as it reclaimed existing materials for reuse for furniture and so forth. It was providing for job creation. I think we've got a total of 4 jobs that will be created from this redevelopment. And it demonstrates a good value project with a significant owner investment. And we thought that was important. The 708 Main Street did meet the fund match. However, it did not meet the threshold for the increase of the usable space. We saw that there's already space there. Office space existing, so it wouldn't increase the usable space. It would be merely dressing the existing space up. So it wasn't creating any jobs. We didn't really get a good feel for the design. Architectural drawings weren't submitted. We didn't know what materials were being used, so we felt like there was a lot of that was left out. And we therefore did not approve that grant request. So some of the things that we learned along the way during this first round of review was, and we think that we're going to need a material sheet or description of the materials the next go around to get a better feel for how that space is going to be renovated. We're thinking of establishing a minimum percentage of increased usable space to get to the value added portion that we're trying to get to. We want a more detailed pro forma to see that value that's being added to the project. And I'll just go through a couple more here. Maybe some bonus points for leveraging other funds or grants to make it more competitive. More of a mission statement or description as to the intent of the grant that's on our piece, just so the applicant gets a better idea of what we're going for. I had a lot of questions wanting to know what it is we really want to see. So that will be included for the next round. And then a criteria for closeout or with a timeline. So when do we expect to receive the grants, what our review period is going to be, when the money is going to be reimbursed, and so forth. And we also thought it would be important to have proof that all the contractors have an Oregon City business license or a Metro license included as part of the grant application packet.
It's a great idea.
So, but next go around, I think this review process will be tightened up. We'll be looking at some of those specific criteria pretty heavily. With the mixed use being a competitive piece, I know it will be the next go around. We've gotten a lot of interest for the next round of review for the next fiscal year, and so this is kind of the message that we've been conveying to those potential applicants for the next round and what we'd like to see. So,
Eric, I have a couple of suggestions, and I know we passed them in the last grant thing we went through a couple weeks ago, and that was I wanted to know how many times they've applied, how many times they've received, and the last time they received.
the adaptive
For any
reuse?
applicant.
Okay.
Right. So we just have some background to work with.
Okay. Yeah, we can compile that information. I can bring that to the next meeting as a report.
Okay.
So.
Anybody else have any additional thoughts?
So we're talking about increasing usable space. What would be an example of a non-usable space versus an increase?
Well, increasing usable space. It would. The way we looked at it is that if you're dealing with a blank slate starting out, if there's no office space constructed, if it's just an empty shell, you're creating office space. You're creating, maybe you're dividing it up for different uses, that sort of thing. That's, to us, is increasing usable space.
Does it have to have a change of use in order to create additional usable space? In other words, it was being used for something before, if it was even if it was only storage.
So are you, I'm sorry.
Well,
I'm just going to wonder.
it doesn't have to be a change of use, but at the same time, we're really looking at that mixed use component as making their application competitive. So if we have a space that hasn't changed the use, they want to increase the usable space to continue that use, versus an application that has a certain use and they want to maybe put a retail component in or a residential component in at the same time, that second application is going to be more competitive, I think.
So you're suggesting increasing income producing
Right.
space.
Sounds great. Sounds like it was a good process. You learned some things along the way, and
Very good process, yes.
Great.
And I'm sure it'll be further refined as we go through it more and more.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah.
We had brought up at the last Urban Renewal Commission about reviewing the process about having the process come before us and for final approval. Right now, that's not part of what we're doing. And I believe that we had a consensus saying that we wanted to look at what we could do to the code that we now have in place that would permit that type of review, final review by the Urban Renewal Commission. Is that going to take place?
That'll be coming to the commission at the last meeting in January as a report.
The last meeting of
I'm sorry, of July.
July.
Yes, January's
Okay.
a little far out.
Yeah.
You know, if I might add something here, I can remember when we had the ICMA ethics director come out and do our ethics training, and I think some of you were in it, some of you weren't. And I'm going to look at the mayor because I remember there was a spirited recommendation from the trainer that that when commission members are put in a position of having to approve individual projects like this one, that the perception of the public sometimes can be troubling for the commission, because it looks like certain people have certain kinds of influence. And in this situation, setting up this program that way Eric has and having the certain criteria and being able to report back, it does provide a layer of insulation against that sort of perception. But you do have this kind of review for some of your programs already, and there haven't been any changes to that. I think that's the storefront grant program, and then you also have the OCCIT that you'd also do every year. And so I'm not sure if you want another one like to do this, if you actually really want to do that, or you want the staff to do it. But I'm pretty satisfied that Eric is doing a good job with it. But it's really the commission's call on how much of that kind of work you'd like to do. But those are just some of the factors you weigh when you make that call.
Let me just add, we do have several eyes on these applications. We have a committee of 4 that looks at this, and potentially one additional one. One that wasn't there this last time he was obligated, but he will be there the next time. So it would be a committee of 5 staff people looking at these applications based on this criteria and some of the things that we've learned this first round. Some of the things that we feel are important to look for will be emphasized this next round.
Part of the concern that came back was when the people that are moving into Munoz Bakery were told that there were no more grants available, monies available by Main Street. That, and then we're not even in the queue. It was who's fiduciarily responsible for these end decisions, and where do we sit as the Urban Renewal Commission? And was a third party out there more powerful than we were in determining who got grant monies and who didn't? And so that is part of the context of saying we'd at least like to be equal.
Right.
Well, I think that'll all come out at the work session, right? Isn't that kind of what we're having?
No. This is
I've never heard. I hadn't heard that comment before.
I heard it also.
I think
I don't know where it came from.
Some of that may be a result of some of the transition that's been going on and the communication avenues and so forth. So I think it's becoming clearer now, especially to Main Street, that as the Urban Renewal Commission representative, myself, staff representative, that they come to me for those grant requests and questions about the grant. And they have been doing that, and so I've been fielding quite a few questions. So Lloyd is telling everyone at this present time to contact me about any questions for the grants.
okay.
Anyway, this can be a point of discussion.
Yeah.
Joint meeting.
Can I ask, just for a matter of my own clarification, everything I'm looking at Rob's grant, but I'm seeing an entrance mat of $7,700. What kind of a mat was that? Can you? An entrance mat that's $7,700?
Here's Matt.
What are we looking at?
What page are you on?
Well, it's in here a couple places. Let's see. It's on the Heinz Construction page, their estimate list. I'm interested. I don't know if it's got a page number. Let me look. Page 69 or 70.
Oh, got a long ways to go.
Because the entrance space to me doesn't look that big. The stairs are listed separately.
You can come up to the microphone, please.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so 64, you said?
69.
69.
State your name for the record.
So, 67 is what it's saying.
I'm
67.
Shauna Reibolt from Beaverton.
Hi.
I work with Rob.
Yeah, it's saying stair mats and risers are separate, 7,200, and then entrance mat is 7,600.
The entry-level mat would be at both entrances. I haven't seen the specifications specifically, except I did see all of the bids that we received, and they were all
In the same
amount, yeah.
Okay.
But the plans should be, I think they were included with,
Yeah.
yeah. So the specifications are in the plans, but we did get comparable bids from 3 different contractors.
Okay. Yeah, that just jumped out at me.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm used to $25 mat at Home Depot.
Yeah, that's what most people are used to.
I see it.
Does that sort of answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Best that I could.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Does anybody have any comment on this general business item?
No.
Okay. If that's not the case, and let's move on back to public hearings on Area 4 and on the resolution UR 12-02 adopting the urban renewal budget, making appropriations and declaration of tax increment for the year 2012-2013. And if we could, I would like to turn this over to David Wimmer for the commission report.
Thank you, Chairman Edgar and members of the commission. We have as you just stated, all the things there on the resolution about adopting the budget, making appropriations, and declaring a tax increment. As you recall, we met in April and approved the budget with one little change for the Amtrak station. And so that $15,000 item is reflected and approved, and since then, Eric has gotten better feel for the rehab program grants and the storefront grants, and there's $85,000 of the rehab grants and $70,000 of the storefront grants that we budgeted for 2011-12, which will not be completed. So we're rolling those over to 2012-13. So that's a total increase of expenditures of $155,000. And since we're not spending last year, we're also increasing the beginning fund balance by $155,000. So the total budget went up by $155 to $1.249 million. That's all the only changes we made. And
okay. Is there any comment on this?
More money. Woohoo.
I'll make a motion to approve the
Go ahead.
$11,249,650.
Have to close the hearing first. Sir.
How's that?
Close the hearing.
Oh, that's right. We have a public hearing.
Okay. We'll open this to a public hearing. Is there anybody that has any comment? Seeing none, then we'll close the public hearing, and we can ask for an approval on it.
Now, we need to discuss the tax increment, the county assessor. And
Well, that's all part of the resolution there. If you want, that's all.
So I can just make a motion to pass the resolution.
Right.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded by Mayor Neely and seconded by Betty Mom. Can we call for a roll call?
Commissioner Pauly?
Yes.
Commissioner Mom?
Aye.
Commissioner Roth?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Neely?
Yes.
Commissioner Yates?
Aye.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
And Chair Edgar.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Unanimous. Okay. So, looks like we're doing very good. So is there anything else that we have on our agenda?
A future agenda item.
Future.
And the consent agenda.
Consent agenda, yes. Do we have a, is this a public hearing item, or do we have any comment on it?
No.
Or should we approve it? Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Do we have a vote on this one? Okay.
Commissioner Pauly? Aye. Commissioner Mom?
Aye.
Commissioner Roth?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Neely?
Aye.
Commissioner Yates?
Aye.
Commissioner Peterson?
Aye.
Chair Edgar.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
And future items, Neely?
Yeah. we're bringing through attrition, we're bringing the Urban Renewal Commission down to 7 members. I think if it is at all possible, we should change the quorum standings, because it would then be possible for one member citizen rep not to be here and to terminate the meeting.
Well, we need to look at all of the
I would say so. I think all I'm trying to say here is there are implications, I think, generally to the bylaws that we have to look at in terms of the 7-member commission, and that's what the suggested.
Yes, I think we should have that.
Yeah.
Bylaws are on one of the next upcoming meetings.
Okay.
For the urban renewal to consider.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I don't have a future agenda item, but I do have one item that I made my reports right before Commissioner Yates came in, and since that time I learned from Mr. Underwood some information from the city of Redmond. They've noticed what we're doing in Oregon City in our urban renewal district, and they're interested enough they're bringing a contingent of folks over here from their city to sit down with us and talk about some of our urban renewal successes and how we're accomplishing what we are. So that's good to get that kind of recognition far and wide, because we're trying to improve our reputation as much as we can around the state with regard to economic development. So
there was an article on NPR today on Oregon City, on Oregon Public Radio, not NPR, OPD.
And then tomorrow morning there's going to be a media tour at Blue Heron. I was going to tell this to the commission as well. I'll give you more details on it. But there's a media tour tomorrow at Blue Heron site with Metro, and both I and Jim Desmond from Metro will be interviewed, and then they're going to take a guided tour of the facility. OPB will be there, Rob Manning, and others, and I think they'll probably have film crews as well. So getting more and more publicity for the site and for things that are happening in Oregon City.
Are we invited?
I think it's only media that are going to be there. But if you anyone here ever wants a tour of that place, let me know. Okay.
Yeah, I would.
We'll put them on our tour list and get them on there. You've seen it from the river. Now you need to see it from the terra firma.
I have an item, and I don't know if this is appropriate at this time or not. Maybe it's too early, but I think that we need to consider what it will take to bring the mill site into our urban renewal district, or if we're going to do that, or
Yeah, I
Well,
don't
that
know.
was that's in our work plan as a kind of not so. It wasn't a high priority. It was kind of a mid-range. So that was a 3 to 6 year.
so it's not something that's going to give us a bargaining position, a better bargaining position.
Well, it was an item that the commission decided they wanted to discuss it between 3 and 6 years from now. They had more immediate concerns at this point, and so we prioritized that. We've got 5 that are pretty they're hot buttons right now, and the Blue Heron we decided to wait till a little later because it's so far out before any development occurs.
Okay.
That right now it's in the very preliminary stages, and but it is something that we will certainly bring to the commission to talk about.
Okay. It came to my mind because there was another helicopter the other day. So
They've been there. I've seen at least 1 or 2 a week.
yeah.
It's been reported to us that it's likely Fish and Game or U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, but we don't know for sure.
Great.
Any other comments? Seeing none, let's adjourn the meeting.
Thank you. Good job, Paul.